Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back or welcome if it's your first time. If you listened to last episode, you know we're in the middle of a deep dive into how your human design authority type works through the lens of your astrological natal moon placement. Now, this is the second in the series. If you don't know your human design authority type, you can grab your free chart off my website. That link will be in the show notes. And if you don't know what your astrological natal moon placement is, you can go to astro.com or astroseek.com, put in your birth details and find out there. Now, last time we covered emotional authority, the wave based, time dependent decision making process. And today we're completely shifting gears to talk about sacral authority. And this one's very different. Whereas emotional authority needs time, sacral authority is immediate. It's a body response that happens in the moment and sometimes a bit misunderstood in human design. So if you're a generator or a manifesting generator without emotional authority, this is likely your authority. And today we're going to go through all 12 natal moon signs to help you understand how your sacral authority actually operates in real time. Not the textbook version, but a little bit more of your version. So let's get into it. So let's talk initially about what sacral authority is. This shows up for generators and manifesting generators who don't have the solar plexus defined, which is roughly about 35% of the population. If you have sacral authority, your sacral center is your decision-making compass, and this speaks to you through the sound and sensation in your body. And the key principle here is that your sacral responds in the moment to what's in front of you. This isn't about thinking or planning or wading through a wave. It's about an immediate gut response, the yes, or the no, that rises up from your belly before your mind can actually intercept it. Now, your sacral is designed to respond to questions, invitations, opportunities. It doesn't initiate, it reacts. And that reaction is either a sense of expansion, aliveness, and magnetism, or contraction, flatness, even repulsion. And sometimes people describe it as like a literal sound, for yes, or or for no. And the invitation is to trust that first response before your mind jumps in with reasons, justifications, but I should, or maybe that type of thing. Your sacral knows what has life force for you and what doesn't. It's not logical, it's not polite, it doesn't really care what makes sense sometimes. It just knows what's correct for you in the moment. And the challenge that people face is actually hearing their sacral clearly, trusting it when it says no, and not overriding it with mental reasoning. And this is where your moon sign becomes crucial because your moon influences how easily you access your body wisdom. It's what makes you feel safe enough to trust it and what might cause you to second guess or ignore it. Now, before we dive into the moon signs, let's talk about what the moon actually represents in your natal chart. Your moon describes your emotional body, your instinctive reactions, responses, your needs for safety, for nourishment. It's how you process feelings. Now, you might be thinking, well, I have sacral authority, not emotional authority. Why does my moon matter? And here's why. Because even though your authority is sacral, that gut response, your moon still influences your entire emotional landscape. It affects whether you feel safe enough to trust your gut and how quickly you can access that body wisdom, what makes you second guess yourself, and what emotional states help or hinder your ability to hear your sacral clearly. And let us remind ourselves that everyone has emotions, and that's okay. Like even Spock had emotions. So your sacral response is immediate, but your moon creates this internal environment in which the response either gets heard very clearly or gets drowned out by fear or conditioning or emotional noise. So understanding your moon sign helps you answer questions like, what conditions can help me hear my sacral better? And what emotional patterns are causing me to override my gut? How do I create the right internal space to trust my body's wisdom? This really helps with the deconditioning process. So let's go through each moon sign. and see how it shapes your relationship with your sacral authority. Now, we're going to start with the Aries moon. If you have sacral authority with Aries moon, your gut is fast and loud. And when your sacral says yes, it's probably like rocket fuel igniting in your body. The challenge isn't hearing your sacral as much as it's distinguishing between your sacral response and your Aries moon impulsive emotional reactions. And what helps you hear your sacral clearly is physical activity and immediate engagement. Like when your Aries moon accesses body wisdom through movement and action, you will hear that very clearly. You might find your clearest sacral responses come when you're already physically moving, walking, working out, doing something with your hands. Stillness can actually make it harder for you to hear because your Aries energy really needs to be activated. And what blocks your sacral is impatience, assumptions. Your Aries moon is so quick that you might think you heard your sacral when you really just had a quick emotional reaction. And you can also override a no because you're waiting or saying no feels maybe too passive. Your Aries moon wants to do something, even when your sacral isn't lit up by the option. And what feels like a yes could look like immediate ignition, like your whole body wants to move towards it right now. That's heat, that's urgency, that's aliveness. That's like you've been given the green light and every cell wants to go. And it may come out as a very emphatic yes or a let's go with force behind it. And what your no may feel like is flatness or like aggressive resistance. Sometimes your sacral no with an Aries moon feels like hitting a wall. Sudden shutdown, irritation, even anger at at the option or whatever the decision is you have in front of you. And other times it's just nothing. No spark, no heat, no impulse to move. The aliveness isn't there. So here are some practical tips on how to work with this energy. So ask yes or no questions while you're moving. Take a walk and ask yourself the question out loud. Notice what your body does. Does it speed up? Does it slow down? Does it expand? Does it contract? Your sacral will respond through movement. Wait 10 seconds before acting. Now, your Aries moon wants to leap immediately, but give your sacral just a breath or two to confirm. If the yes is still there after 10 seconds, it's sacral. If it fades, it was just an Aries impulse. Number 3, practice saying no out loud. Your Aries moon hates the passivity of no. Practice physically saying no with your body. Shake your head, step back, so your energy can really express the no actively. And last, channel false yeses into workouts. If you say yes to something and then realize later that your sacral was actually flat, like use that, get that frustrated Aries energy out through movement in your body. This helps clear the mistake and reset for the next decision, because we all will make a bad call every now and then, especially as you're doing experimentation with this for the first bit or so. So let's move on to Taurus moon. If you have sacral authority with Taurus moon, your gut response is steady, it's grounded, it's deeply body-based, but it can be a little slow to register. Your Taurus moon needs time to feel into whether something resonates at a physical level, which can create confusion because sacral is supposed to be immediate, right? And the key is to understand that your immediate might take a few beats slower than other moon signs. So what helps you hear your sacral clearly is comfort, stability, sensory engagement. When Taurus moon accesses body wisdom, it happens when you're feeling safe, when you feel grounded. You may hear your sacral more clearly when you're in familiar environments, when your physical needs are met, when you're fed, rested, comfortable, and when you're engaged with something tactile or sensory. Rushing may feel like static. What blocks your sacral is pressure to respond quickly and fear of change. Taurus moons want to stay in what's comfortable, so you may override a yes that's requiring some level of risk or change. Even if your sacral feels lit up, you can also say no to things simply because they're unfamiliar, when actually your sacral may be curious if you gave it a chance to settle. So, what a yes feels like is there's a deep body resonance. It's not explosive, it's not dramatic. It's more like your whole body relaxes and leans into the option. It may feel like warmth in your belly. It could feel like a sense of being more solid or more rooted, or like you're being gently pulled, but unmistakably in the direction of where the decision needs to be made. And it often comes with this low, grounded, or maybe even an exhale. And what a no feels like could feel like physical resistance or total flatness. Your body may tense up, your jaw may clench, you may feel a certain level of heaviness. And sometimes it's a complete absence of interest. The option doesn't even register anywhere in your body. There's no aliveness at all, no pull, no resonance, just a nope. So, some practical tips here are give yourself a few extra seconds. Like your moon's sacral response might not fire instantly. Ask the question, then wait 3 to 5 seconds and notice what your body does. The response will come, it's just on Taurus time. Number 2, use touch to access your sacral. Maybe put your hand on your belly when asking yes or no questions. Your Taurus moon connects to the body wisdom through physical contact. Notice if your belly softens or if it tightens up a bit. You could, number 3, test through sensory experience whenever that's possible. Instead of just thinking about an option, experience it physically if you can. Visit the place, touch the object, taste the food. Your Taurus moon's sacral response to actual sensory data, not just abstract concepts. Number 4, don't confuse comfort with correctness. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean that it's a sacral yes. A real sacral response there's an aliveness to it, even if it's quiet. Comfort without a spark is not a yes, it's just comfort. Let's move on to Gemini. In this moon placement, the gut response can feel a little scattered or inconsistent because your Gemini moon is processing multiple streams of information simultaneously. Your sacral may say yes, but your mind immediately offers 10 different perspectives on that yes. And that can create confusion about what you actually felt in your body in the first place versus what you're thinking about the response. And what helps when you hear your sacral clearly is variety, movement, articulation. Gemini moons access body wisdom through talking and moving. So you might hear your cleanest sacral response when you're speaking out loud or literally hearing your voice saying or It helps you distinguish the gut response from the mental chatter. Being in a stimulating environment, not boring and stagnant ones, also keeps your energy flowing so that you can respond. And what blocks your sacral is overthinking, mental gymnastics. Your moon will immediately analyze your sacral response to say, but what if? On the other hand, let me think about this from a different angle. Before you know it, you've talked yourself out of what your body clearly told you. And you can also get distracted by new information or ideas that you lose track of what your sacral actually said in the first place. So, what a yes feels like is a quick, bright, buzzy energy, perhaps. When a sacral yes with a Gemini moon comes often a sense of curiosity or mental excitement and a physical lightness. You may feel like your energy tilted a little bit. Your voice may be pitched up a little bit slightly, or a sense of, ooh, yes, that's both body and mental interest combined. It's playful, it's quick. Your no could feel like flatness or boredom or just merely scattered energy. And When your sacral says no, your moon, Gemini moon, can lose interest almost immediately. It's like your attention wanders, you change the subject, you mentally feel foggy about the option. There's no buzz, no curiosity, no energetic pull. It just falls flat. And some practical tips here are: speak your responses out loud. Don't just think a yes or no, actually vocalize it. Your Gemini moon needs to hear your sacral response to trust it. Record voice memos asking yourself yes or no questions and listen to the tone and the speed of your responses. Number 2, notice your first response, then close the tab. The moon wants to research and analyze and explore after that first sacral response, and that's fine, but bookmark what your body said first before your mind takes over. Write it down. Initial response, yes or no. Number 3, ask the same question multiple times in different ways. Your Gemini moon likes variety, so approach a decision from different angles and see if your sacral response stays consistent. If it keeps saying yes, no matter how you phrase it, that's your answer. And last, move while deciding. Again, take a walk, pace, do something with your hands. Do something with your hands. Your Gemini moon connects to body wisdom through movement and stimulation. Sitting still makes it harder for you to hear your sacral beneath the mental noise. Now, moving on to Cancer moon. Now, if you have this particular placement, your gut response is deeply intertwined with your emotional safety and your connection to others. Your Cancer moon is so attuned to emotional atmosphere that can be really hard to distinguish between your sacral body wisdom and your emotional need for security, comfort, or protecting the people you love. So, what helps you hear your sacral clearly is emotional safety and solitude. Cancer moons access their body wisdom when you feel protected and aren't worried about hurting others or being rejected. You may hear your sacral most clearly when you're alone in a safe, familiar space, your home, your bedroom, somewhere that's sort of like your shell. Get it? Crab, shell, Cancer. When you're not managing someone else's emotions so that your body can speak. What blocks your sacral is fear of disappointing others and emotional overwhelm. Your Cancer moon may override your sacral response because it feels no is mean. Override your sacral yes because it feels too vulnerable or risky. You can also absorb other people's needs so completely that you genuinely can't tell if your sacral is responding to what you want or what would make someone else feel secure. So what your yes can feel like is it can feel warm, nurturing, expansion in your chest and belly. Your sacral yes with a Cancer moon often comes with a sense of this feels like home. This feels like safe to say yes to. There's a softness. There's an openness. There's a sense of emotional brightness alongside the body response. And you may feel more like a heart and gut alignment. And what your no feels like is like a protective contraction or an emotional shutdown. When your sacral says no, your Cancer moon may feel like it needs to retreat, close off, protect yourself. Your belly tightens, your chest contracts, or you feel emotionally withdrawn from the option. And sometimes it's accompanied by anxiety or a sense of this doesn't feel safe. So some practical tips here are: ask yourself the question alone first. Before you factor in anyone else's feelings or needs, sit with the decision by yourself in your safe space. Put your hand on your belly and ask, does my body want this? Notice what happens before your Cancer moon starts worrying about others. Number 2, distinguish. You got to learn how to distinguish between fear and no. As Cancer moon can feel afraid of saying yes to something new or vulnerable. But the fear is not the same as a sacral no. A true sacral no feels flat. shut or closed. And fear often comes with a tenseness. Yeah, that scares me. So learn the difference. Number 3, practice saying no to small things. Cancer moons need to build that trust that saying no won't destroy relationships. Start with low stake no's to, like, I don't know, waiters or salespeople or minor requests. Notice that you survived it and you can do this, and people will still love and accept you. But also realize that if you are having like a really, really hard time with that you really need to do some inner work on people pleasing. And then the last one I would say is check, am I protecting myself or am I protecting them? Sometimes your Cancer moon will say no to protect someone else from disappointment or change, but that's not your sacral, that's caretaking. And your sacral only knows what's correct for your energy, not their energy. And again, we go back to having a conversation around people pleasing and working on that. So next up is the Leo moon. Now, if you have sacral authority with Leo moon, your gut response wants to be dramatic and confident. But here's the catch. Your Leo moon can perform certainty even when your sacral hasn't fully responded yet. Now, you may declare a big yes because it feels powerful and exciting when your sacral was quiet, or even say no when underneath there was all that Leo fire. And what helps you hear your sacral clearly is you need permission to be uncertain. Leo moon accesses body wisdom when you feel seen and valued, but not when you're necessarily performing for an audience. You may find your clearest sacral responses come when you're alone or with someone who loves you unconditionally, where you don't have to look confident or impressive all the time. You can just feel. Now, what blocks your sacral is pride and that need to look decisive. Leo moons hate admitting, I don't know, or that's not for me. If it makes me look weak or boring or less special, that's not for me. And you might override a sacral no because saying yes makes you feel important, or ignore a quiet yes because it doesn't feel exciting enough to match that Leo energy. Now, a yes can look like a radiant full body ignition. Your sacral yes with Leo moon feels like the sun coming out, like warm and confident and expansive, and a sense of, yes, this is mine. There's pride and joy. There's a aliveness to it. Your whole being lights up and wants to celebrate. And it's really unmistakable when it's like really real. And your no can feel like a little bit like deflation, or perhaps like dullness. When your sacral says no, Leo moon feels like a loss of a sparkle. The option just doesn't light you up. There's no pride in it. There's no joy. There's no sense of this is worthy of me. Sometimes it comes with irritation or maybe even a level of dismissiveness. And almost like this is beneath me, but underneath me, underneath is just flat, right? So practical tips are, check what your motivation is. Before you say yes, do I want this because my body is lit up by it? Or is it because I feel like it's just going to make me look good, special, impressive? If it's the latter, pause and feel into it again, because your sacral really doesn't care about your image. It only cares about your energy. Number 2, let yourself have boring yeses. Not every sacral yes needs to be grand or exciting. Sometimes your body is saying yes to something quiet, something simple, something unglamorous. Your Leo moon may resist this a bit, but your sacral knows what has life force for you, even if it's not flashy. And practice private decisions. Make some choices that no one else will ever know about or see. This helps you hear your sacral without your Leo moon wanting to put everything on display for performance. And celebrate your sacral, not just your yeses. When your Leo moon wants to celebrate, so celebrate the fact that you heard your sacral and you're honoring it, whether it was a yes or a no. That's the real victory here, not the outcome itself. So let's move on to Virgo moons. If you have this particular placement, your gut response gets tangled up with analysis and self criticism, the need to make the right decision. And Virgo moon wants to assess, evaluate, perfect the perfect response. And the sacral doesn't work like that. It's raw, it's immediate, it's imperfect body wisdom that doesn't care about being logical or refined. And what helps you hear your sacral clearly is simplicity, routine, grounded presence. Virgo moons access body wisdom when things are organized and when you're not overwhelmed by chaos or disorder. You may feel like you hear your sacral most clearly in the morning during structured activities, when you're engaged with something practical and repetitive that gets you out of your head and into your body. And what blocks your sacral is perfectionism and self doubt. Virgo moons will second guess your sacral response almost immediately. It's like, but is this really what I felt? Did I feel it correctly? What if I'm doing this wrong? You analyze the response instead of trusting it. You can override your sacral because the yes feels messy or imperfect, or the no feels like you're being too critical or difficult. Now, what the yes may feel like is quiet, practical resonance. Your sacral yes with Virgo moon often feels like it's calm and grounded rather than exciting. It's a sense of, yes, this makes sense for my body, or this serves me, or there's a clarity and simplicity into it, like a clean or a subtle nod from your belly. It may not be loud, but it's very precise. And your no could feel like tightness, discomfort, critical resistance. It could be physical discomfort, tension in your jaw, tightness in your shoulders, a sense of something's off. You may notice flaws and problems with the option immediately. There's no ease, there's no flow, there's no sense that it serves your well-being. And some practical tips here are: number one, stop judging your response. Your Virgo moon will critique how you heard it, whether it was clear enough, if you did it right. Just notice the first response your body gave and trust it, even if it feels imperfect or uncertain. It doesn't need to be refined, it just needs to be heard. Number two, use physical sensation as your guide. Virgo moons are an earth sign and they're very connected to their body. Asking yes or no questions, track physical sensations. Does your body soften? Does it tighten? Do your shoulders droop or rise? These are the subtle body cues that your sacral is speaking. Number four, practice good enough responses. Virgo moon wants perfect clarity, but sometimes your sacral will give you like 70%. In fact, most of the time it's going to give you like 70% certainty, and that's enough. And if there's any body pull towards the yes, even if it's not perfect, that counts. If there's a flatness or a resistance, that's a no. And last, don't fix your sacral's answers. Virgo moons tend to want to improve or optimize, and you can't improve or optimize your gut response. If your sacral says yes to something imperfect or no to something that seems logically good, trust it anyway. Your body knows things that your mind will never know. Let's move on to Libra moon. If you have sacral authority with Libra moon, your gut response is constantly being weighed against everyone else's needs, everyone else's preferences, and potential reactions. And Libra moons want harmony and balance. So you may unconsciously adjust your sacral responses to create a peace or fairness, which means you're not actually honoring what your body is telling you. So what helps you hear your sacral clearly is solo time, permission to be selfish. Your Libra moon accesses body wisdom when you're not in relationship mode or mediating or considering others. You may hear your sacral most clearly Like I said, when you're alone, before you talk to anyone else about the decision, when you give yourself explicit permission to choose purely on your energy, not what's fair or keeps everyone happy. And what blocks your sacral is people pleasing, indecision. Libra moon will override your sacral no because it feels like it may be too harsh or creates conflicts. Override your sacral yes because someone feels that you may feel like someone wants something different and you don't want to disappoint them. And you can also swing back and forth because Libra moons genuinely see both sides, and that can make it hard to land on what your body actually wants. And what your sacral yes can feel like is it can feel like a balanced expansion of the sense with like a little dash of sense of rightness in there. It comes from with a feeling of this creates harmony in my system. This feels aesthetically correct. There's an ease, there's a grace, there's a sense that saying yes brings you into an alignment, not just with others, but with yourself. And it may feel soft, but it's going to feel clear. It's like a gentle yes. And no can feel like imbalance or subtle dissonance, or it can feel like something is just genuinely off. Not dramatically wrong, but something's not quite right. There's no harmony in it. There's no sense of flow or grace. You may feel torn. You may feel uncertain, like the option creates this internal conflict rather than creating peace. And so practical tips here are decide alone first, relationship second, before you factor in anyone else's feelings or needs or opinions. Ask yourself what it wants in private. Write down your gut response, and then you can consider the relationship dynamics, but don't let them override what your body already told you. You can practice unfair no's. Your Libra moon needs to learn that sometimes the correct decision for your energy may not be fair to someone else, fair being a relative term, and that's okay. You're not responsible for managing everyone else's experience. Saying no to something, even when it may inconvenience someone else, is part of life, and you'll notice that you survive it. The next is stop asking for others people's input before you've actually heard your sacral. Libra moons love to poll everyone to find out the balanced answer, but this sort of drowns out your own body's wisdom. So let you speak first and then get input after if you need it, not before. And then notice the difference between peace and appeasement. Your sacral yes should have created an internal sense of peace, even if it creates an external tension. Appeasement creates external peace, but internal discomfort. And learn to feel the difference in your body. Now let's move on to Scorpio moons. If you have this particular placement, your response is very intense. It comes with layers of emotional depth. It can come with suspicion and power dynamics. A Scorpio moon just doesn't just feel the sacral response, it like interrogates it, it tests it, it sometimes tries to control or manipulate it. Scorpios are not for the faint of heart. You may not trust your own gut because vulnerability feels dangerous, or you may override it to try to maintain a semblance of control. What helps you hear your sacral clearly is privacy, honesty, surrender. Scorpio moons access body wisdom when they feel safe enough to be completely honest with themselves. No performing, no defense, no games. When you may hear your sacral most clearly in solitude and those moments of raw emotional honesty, or after you've stopped trying to control the outcome and just let yourself feel what your body is telling you. What blocks you is distrust and the need for control. Scorpio's moons don't necessarily trust things easily, including their own bodies. You may override the sacral yes because it feels too vulnerable or risky to want something, or ignore your no because you're trying to prove you're strong enough to handle everything. And you can also confuse the intensity of feeling with a sacral response. Just because something triggers you deeply doesn't mean that your body necessarily wants it. So what your yes feels like is it's a deep magnetic pull. Your sacral yes with a Scorpio moon feels like a momentary hunger or being drawn in to something, like at a soul level. There's power in it. It's not just surface attraction, because Scorpio anything doesn't do, whether it's sun, moon, rising sign, they don't do anything that's surface level. There's a sense that there's a deep significance for you. It may feel consuming in the moment, but underneath the intensity, there's a solid yes, like this will not be denied. And what the no feels like is sometimes a cold shutdown or even a repulsion. When your sacral says no, your Scorpio moon feels like it's an immediate closing off. There's a door slamming internally. There, like I said, it may even feel like disgust or distrust, or something is really wrong. Even if you can't articulate that why, your body rejects it completely. And there is zero magnetism. Some practical tips here are: stop testing your sacral. Scorpio moon will try to see if your gut response really means it by pushing it or questioning it or creating scenarios to test it. And you just got to trust the first hit. If your sacral, well, your sacral doesn't need to prove itself, it already knows. And you need to just learn how to distinguish between intensity and correctness. Scorpio moon can be intensely triggered by things that your sacral is actually saying no to. And strong emotional reaction doesn't equal sacral yes. Pause and feel underneath the intensity. Is your body being pulled forward and towards the decision of yes? Or is your wound being activated by it? And then next is let yourself want things without justification. Scorpio moon makes you guard your desires because sometimes wanting something feels a little vulnerable, but your sacral needs permission to respond honestly. And you don't have to necessarily understand why your body wants or doesn't want something. You just need to honor it. And then you can use one of your superpowers. Your Scorpio moons have a penetrating awareness of things. They can feel into the truth beneath the surface. And when your sacral responds, your Scorpio moon can sense whether that response is genuine or you're lying to yourself. And you got to trust the lie detector. It's protecting your truth, not trying to undermine it. Scorpio moons are great human lie detectors anyway. So let's move on to the Sagittarius moon. Your gut response wants freedom and adventure. Freedom and adventure. And Sag moon will say yes to almost anything that promises new experience, expansion, or escape from boredom. And the challenge is to distinguish between your sacral's genuine body wisdom and your Sag moon's restless need for the new thing. And what helps you hear your sacral clearly is space and movement and, quite frankly, just raw honesty. When Sag moon accesses body wisdom, the clearest is when your body's in motion and when you're not feeling trapped or confined. And you may hear your sacral most clearly when you're traveling or you're walking or exploring, but also when you're giving yourself, like I said, a much more radical honesty about what you actually want versus what just maybe sounds exciting in theory. And what blocks your sacral is restlessness, FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah, that'll block it. Sag moon can override your sacral no because a no feels limiting and you feel like you're closing doors, and you might say yes just to keep your options open, or because staying put feels like stagnation. And you can make philosophical interest or curiosity, you can mistake that for a sacral response. Just because something is intellectually fascinating doesn't necessarily mean that your body has the energy for it. Now, what your yes can feel like is expansion, free, like expansive, free, full body enthusiasm. There's an enthusiastic component to the sacral yes with Sag moons. It's like your whole body wants to run towards it. There's a lightness, there's optimism, there's a sense of adventure, a possibility. Your energy lifts, you feel free. And there's a genuine excitement, not just mental illness, not just mental interest about engaging with it. And it might come up like a, yeah, let's go. And your no feels like heaviness or boredom or a trapped feeling. When your sacral says no, Sag moon feels constriction, like the option would cage you, drain you, bore you to death. There's no spark, there's no sense of freedom or expansion. And sometimes it's like some of the other signs, it's total disinterest. You'd rather be anywhere doing anything else but this. Practical tips are check if you're running towards something or running from something. Sag moon says yes to escape boredom and commitment, or run from discomfort. Real sacral yeses run towards something your body wants, not away from something you don't want to face. You've got to learn how to feel the difference there. And maybe ask, would I still want this if I had to stay put? Sag moon loves novelty and movement, but let's strip that away for a second. Is the core of the thing, does it still light you up without the adventure, the newness of it? If it's a real yes, it's a real yes. If not, it's just restlessness maybe coming through. Give yourself permission to say no to good opportunities. Sag moon hates closing doors and passing up experiences, but your sacral doesn't really care about that. As your sacral knows that there's plenty of opportunities out there. We don't have to hold on to every single one of them. It cares about your energy. You can say no to amazing things if they're not correct for you. And then last, move your body when asking yes or no questions. Yes or no questions. Walk, run, dance. Let your Sag moon's need for movement work for your sacral. Ask the question when moving and notice if your body speeds up or it slows down or if it expands or contracts. Now we're moving on to the Capricorn moon. Your gut response gets filtered through responsibility and practicality and what makes sense. And Cap moons want to make decisions based on logic and long-term strategy and what's mature and responsible, but your sacral does not care about any of that. It only knows what it has life force for. And that's even if the things are completely impractical. What helps you hear your sacral clearly is structure, solitude, permission to be irresponsible. Your Cap moon accesses body wisdom when you're grounded and not overwhelmed, but also when you give yourself really clear permission to respond from your body and not from duty or obligation. You may feel your sacral the most clearly in the morning, in the early morning, during structured routines, when you feel, or maybe when you consciously set aside what you should do and just feel into it. And what blocks your sacral is obligation and fear of appearing foolish. Cap moons will override sacral no's because you feel like you should say yes. It's the responsible thing, it's the mature thing, it's the practical thing. You may also override your sacral yes because it may seem frivolous or risky or doesn't fit necessarily into your structured long-term plan. And your Cap moon can confuse endurance with correctness. Just because you can handle something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. And what your yes can feel like is a solid, grounded commitment. Sacral yes with Cap Moons should feel steady and weighty. It's not necessarily going to feel light and exciting, but it will feel real. There's a sense of, yes, I can build something with this, or yes, this is worth my energy right now. And it could come from a quiet with your whole body sort of settling into alignment. It's not impulsive. There's a level of certainty to it. And what your no feels like could feel like heaviness, a burden, complete shutdown. When your sacral says no, Cap Moons often feel like pure exhaustion at even the thought of the thing. Like it would be too much weight to carry. There's no willingness, no sense that you could build with it. Sometimes there's a cold absence of interest, like your body won't even engage with the option. So practical tips here are separate capability from correctness. So Cap Moons can do hard things. They can endure discomfort and be incredibly responsible. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should or that your sacral wants you to. Ask, does my body have the energy for this? Or am I just capable of forcing myself through it? And I think all of us are guilty of that every now and then, regardless of your moon sign or even your authority type or any of your configuration in human design. But I think Cap moons or Capricorn placements in general struggle with this so much more than some of the other placements. Give yourself permission to want impractical things. Your sacral may say yes to something that doesn't necessarily make logical sense in the moment. May not seem like it's going to advance your goals or may seem like a waste of time. Trust it anyway. More often than not, it actually does make sense in the long run because your intuitive awareness is really coming out when you start to work with your energetic authority. It is so much more powerful over long terms. Trust it anyway. Your body knows what nourishes your life force, even when your Cap Moon may judge it a little bit. Notice the difference between duty and desire. When you feel like you should say yes, pause and drop into your body and strip away the obligation. Does your sacral have the energy for this? Or are you just being responsible? They're not the same thing. And then last, use your long-term vision wisely. Cap Moons can see the consequences and future implications, which is fantastic, especially for course correction. But do that after your sacral responds, and you can factor in the practical consideration, but let your body speak first. Don't let strategy override your gut. Next, we have the Aquarius moon. Now, if you have sacral authority with this particular placement, your gut response gets intellectualized. It gets rationalized. It gets detached almost immediately. Aquarian moons want to understand and categorize and explain your sacral, but the sacral is pure body wisdom that doesn't necessarily operate through logic or mental frameworks. So you may not even trust your gut because it seems too irrational or primal. And what helps you hear your sacral clearly is freedom, experimentation, get like really curiosity. Your Aquarius moon accesses body wisdom when you approach it like it's an interesting experiment rather than a problem to solve. And you may hear your sacral most clearly when you're not trying to understand it from a total standpoint, when you're maybe chucking the societal expectations and give yourself permission to be weird in how you respond. Maybe that's how you experiment with it. And what blocks your sacral is detachment and rebellion. Like Aquarian moons love a good rebellion, right? But This will cause disconnection from your body and analyze your sacral response from a distance. That's an interesting physiological reaction rather than trusting it. And you can also rebel against your own authority, making decisions that go against your gut just to prove that you're not controlled by anything, including your own body. And Aquarius moons might override the sacral responses that seem to maybe basic or conventional. What your yes may feel like is electric, alive, very uniquely yours. Your sacral yes with this placement, awesome, like it comes with a sense of, oh, this is me. This is me. This honors my individuality. There's a buzz of aliveness. It's maybe gets some tingles in your body. It feels free. It feels true. It doesn't feel like it's being performative or conditioned. It may feel like, oh, this is unconventional, but it's very unmistakably you. What your no feels like is disconnection, flatness, again, that rebellious resistance that some of the other placements have. Of all of the placements, though, Aquarius moons may feel like it's total detachment. You can't even engage with the option. It is that uninteresting to you. There's no spark. There's no sense that it's going to serve you on your unique path. And sometimes it comes with this automatic contrarian energy, but underneath that is just nothing. There's no life force there. So some practical tips are to get out of your head and into your body. When you notice yourself analyzing the sacral response, maybe literally shake your body, move, do something physical to break the mental pattern. And because your sacral lives below the neck, you got to drop down to hear it. Number 2, stop rebelling against your own authority. Your Aquarian moon might make decisions that go against your gut just to prove that you're free and not controlled by a system. I get that. But your sacral is your freedom. It's telling you what's correct for your unique energy. Honor it. Like when you honor it, it's liberation. It's not limitation. And 3, maybe you do experiment with it. Like you're a scientist. And because Aquarian moons love experiments, track your sacral responses every time and see what patterns emerge. Like you can give it a little test. All right. It said yes. Let's see what happens. Approach it with curiosity rather than judgment. And last, let it be logical. I know you want it to make sense, but the sacral does not care about logic. It may say something, it may say yes to something that's irrational or no to something that may look good on the surface. Trust the body wisdom, even if it defies your mental framework. And then last, we have the Pisces moon. Now, if you have this placement, your gut response gets lost in an ocean of emotions and intuitions and dreams and absorbed energy from everyone around you. I actually had the Pisces moon. I just have it for emotional authority. So I feel you on this. Your Pisces moon is very porous and it's fluid, and it can be very difficult to distinguish between your sacral response and what you're picking up from others, from the collective, or from your own emotional currents. I also have a divine sacral, so I get my hits from, I also have a divine splenic center too. So I get hits from my spleen, I get hits from my sacral, and then I have to ride the wave, right? It can be difficult to pull apart what you were feeling versus what everyone else is feeling. And what helps you hear your sacral authority is solitude, boundaries, grounding. Your Pisces moon accesses body wisdom when you're alone and have energetically cleared the space of other people's influences. You may hear your sacral most clearly after time in water and nature and meditation, anything that helps you distinguish between what's yours and what you've absorbed. Creating energetic boundaries when you have this particular placement is absolutely essential. And what blocks your sacral is being that porous and also martyrdom. Your Pisces moon absorbs everyone else's desires and needs, energies, and you may be thinking that you hear your sacral when really you're responding to someone else's wants. You can also override your sacral no because saying no feels cruel, or because you're willing to sacrifice your own energy to help heal or save others. This particular natal placement has a big savior complex. Your Pisces moon can confuse compassion with correct response. And what a yes can feel like is there's a fluid, intuitive, soul level resonance with the decision. The sacral yes with a Pisces moon often comes with a sense of, this is part of my soul path, or this is not just a body response. This is like a whole being, like energetic field. There's something about subtle energy saying yes to. And there can be a little bit of a dreamy quality to it, or a feeling of being pulled by something larger than logic. It feels like flow. And the no can feel like drain, overwhelm, or total fog. When your sacral says no, your Pisces moon often feels like it's depletion, exhaustion. Like the option would like dissolve all of your boundaries, and it always feels like an energy vampire on the other side. Sometimes it's just confusion or fog, and you can't really access a clear response because your body is saying, I don't know, this is not even mine to engage with. There's no flow. It's just maybe resistance or murkiness. So some practical tips are: clear your energy field first. Before asking your sacral anything, spend some time alone, take a bath, sit in meditation, visualize releasing everyone else's energies. Ask what's mine and what I've absorbed, and only then ask your sacral yes or no questions. To distinguish between empathy and authority. Your Pisces moon feels other people's sacral responses and can mistake their yeses for your yeses, their needs for your needs, because just because you can feel into what someone else wants doesn't mean that's what your body wants. And watch for martyr yeses. Pisces moon will override your sacral no because you're willing to suffer and sacrifice and dissolve yourself to help others, but you're let me stress this, in the shadow. That is what a lot of Pisces moons will do. But your sacral authority is about your life force, not their life force. You can't serve anyone if you're depleted. And then trust the body, even if it doesn't make logical sense. Pisces moon might actually have to override their sacral because something seems spiritually advanced or compassionate, but your body knows what is sustainable for you. Even the spiritual warriors need boundaries too. So there you have it. Sacral authority through all 12 natal moon signs. If you have sacral authority, I hope this helped you understand not just what your sacral is supposed to sound like in theory, but how your specific natal moon sign influences your ability to hear it, to trust it, to honor it in real time. And remember, your sacral is immediate, but that doesn't mean that it's always loud or obvious. Sometimes the clearest response is the quietest one, and your natal moon sign helps you understand what conditions you need to actually hear it. And this month, with all the squares to Uranus, pushing us to reclaim our authority and stop giving our power away, this is a really great opportunity to experiment with your authority and really trust your gut, to stop overriding it with logic or obligation or other people's needs, because your sacral knows what has life force for you. Just let it guide you. In the next episode, I'm probably going to go into splenic authority through the 12 moon signs, and that's the intuitive and the moment body wisdom that speaks once and doesn't really repeat itself. So if that's you, or if you have splenic beings in your life, stay tuned for that. As always, if this resonated, please share it out with someone who needs to hear it. The more that we can support each other, trusting our own inner authority, the less we give our power away to people and systems that don't actually know what's correct for us. And in the meantime, remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane.